All right, guys. So we're looking at Spain, Netherlands today, World Cup 2010 final. We'll soon be joined by a few of our players and coaches here today. But I'm starting this now because I simply started recording late in the lesson. So this is actually being recorded after the first recording. Don't worry, you'll get it. Sorry, Spain, Netherlands, World Cup 2010 final. This is the continuation from last week's lesson or class, and that was Spain versus Germany in the Euro 2008 final. So this is Vicente del Bosque, Spain versus the Netherlands, both playing 4-2-3-1, as we see here. Okay, very simple. And we'll be discussing a few things today, a few themes, or a few moments or phases, moments really in the game, talking about transition from offense to defense, all right, negative transition, some call it, and transitioning from defense to offense, positive transition, as some call it. So in the game, really have four moments: attacking moment, when you have the ball, when you're in possession; defensive moment, when you don't have the ball, you're out of possession; transition to attack, you recover possession; transitioning to defense, you lose possession. All right, just gonna go over this quickly because the other recording is long. Next one up, play forward collectively or individually between the lines. All right, so these are both examples of what? Get a chance to guess now. These two images here, are they collective or individual? Pause if you need more time to think. The answer is collective. All right, collective is simply put basically when you have more than one player involved in it. So breaking a line individually is dribbling. Let's say there's a midfield line. I'm the number 10. I have the ball, can be any player, but I'm the number 10. I dribble through that line. I just broke the line individually. Now in this scenario here, the bottom picture, you have, let's say, the right center back passing to the striker. And he broke about two lines there, for including the forward line and then the midfield line. That's breaking a line there. And the top picture is just really a more specific view of that. It's the exact same thing, but just a more specific view of it. All right. He's breaking the line, particularly the one in the middle and the one on the right. All right. And the one in the middle is also showing, look, he broke a line and then he has a teammate right, making himself available right in front. Okay. Next up, fixing, committing the opposition in one area to play in another. Basically what it says is there, let's say the team U15 girls, they have the ball, right quadrant of the field, whatever, they're right midfield third. All right, let's say right midfield third. They have the ball, they're keeping possession, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 passes. The opposition team comes into that area because you're keeping too much of possession and want to get the ball back. So as they move into this area, they're liberating space somewhere else. Okay, so that's what committing the opposition is, fixing the opposition. You might hear other terms for it. Okay, it can be anywhere on the pitch, although it's mostly done midfield third, offensive third. And I say mostly because that's a huge generalization. Some teams will press high and you can commit them anywhere on the field. Some teams are going to back off. And I would say more often than not, they're a little bit more likely to back off than to do a full field press. Okay. So committing the opposition in one area, you can do that through passes. You can do that through one simple pass, actually, just one pass, particularly when you break a line. You can do that through dribbling. You can do that even just by moving. Not necessarily taking the ball there, but shifting your players in one area, but committing the opposition in one area to play in another, to then thus go and change the point of attack or switch the field of play or swing the ball, which is the next term. All right, switch flanks play, switching the field of play, or changing the point of attack, which is really the best term for, or one of the better terms for it, I should say, because you're literally, you have one point of attack, and then when you swing the ball, you switch the ball. It can be obviously a full-on swing, a full-on switch, you just cross the ball to the other side of the field, or it can take more of a complex route by touching the player in the middle who's then going to go and play the ball to the far side. So it's simply put about ball starting on one side of the field and moving to the other quickly. Okay, because if it takes 32 passes to get to the other side, that is no longer switching the field of play. Still changing the point of attack, though. All right, and one more. Just make sure. Okay. We're almost caught up. All right, what happens when the goalie gets the ball? Why is this important? You'll watch it with me here. It's very simple. When the Dutch goalie gets the ball, Stecklenburg, what do the orange players, Oranje, the Dutch players do? All right, so one more time, let's start that again, shall we? What is happening here? What is the orange team doing? Getting as wide as possible. Why is that important? Okay, why is that important? We're going to discuss it quite a few times later on in this slide, but it's important to get as wide as possible when you have possession of the ball, simply put, and it's important to keep the field as small as possible when you don't have possession. By them getting wide, the two center backs getting farther than the distance of the 18, and the two fullbacks thus being allowed to get higher up the pitch and wider all the way to the touchline. This allows a great deal of space in the middle, and you see Nigel de Jong taking up that space. This can allow Van Bommel and de Jong are the sixes in this position, in this scenario. Van Bommel can drop into space between the center backs, or it can be open as well. It's about creating space in the middle. Your movement to the outside creates spaces in the middle. So our wide players who feel that they're not contributing, or is like, no, I want to be in the middle, I want to get on the ball. Your movement, your positioning is absolutely essential to the effectiveness of the team. Without you, no player, we can't do what we do in the middle. Okay, so please know that even when it gets frustrating, and trust me, every coach knows it. All right. So what the Orange team did there is they expanded the field of play. They got wide, they got big, they found space, they spread out, whatever you call it, whatever you hear a coach call it. That's what they did. All right. And I think about there, we're pretty much caught up. All right. How were the Netherlands able to progress the ball? You're going to see it next. Thank you again. All right, so here we saw them getting wide. The ball drops to Van Bommel, who came into the sixth position. He breaks the first line. Nigel de Jong turns, and here we're spreading the field of play. And boom, there. What are the two movements we see? And how do they complement each other? From the player that's about to receive the ball and someone else, what do we see? Any ideas? From right, he turns, and this person there, what did he do to receive the ball? Where did he go? What did he do? What is that called?
He checked into the space.
Checked into the space, and what did the other player do?
He ran around where he was before, so that created space for both of them.
Okay, one player went forward while the other checked in to create space. So that's another run he made, what we might call a decoy run to draw space and to allow Dirk Kuyt to have space here, who then plays it to the open man, who just plays it over the top, not on the stronger foot. Okay, next one up. Which movements are important here? Okay, so we're looking at Spain. Just gonna see which movements are the most important here. Boom, we just saw this, we just discussed that. All right. So I'm gonna say go when I see an important movement. Go. There's a go, there's another one, that's 2. That's 3, and that's 4. And even 5. Okay, so which movements are important here? I'll give you a clue. I'll stop it as it's happening. There, what did we just see? What's the first movement? We'll advance it to give you the connection. What happens now? Boom, where's the space created?
On the wing.
The space is created on the wing, but where does the ball go?
Middle.
All right, so is there space created in the middle as well?
Somewhat.
Yes. So how is that space created?
Is that Puyol? Puyol waits a little just so everyone can gain space.
Okay. Does anyone see the movement of the player in the circle, the center circle? What you say is correct, but there's a little bit more to it. Okay. One more time. Look at where the referee is. All right, that's where the ball is going to go. Was there an orange player there before or not? In that general area?
Yes.
All right, and why was he no longer there?
But the player in the circle dragged the player away.
There you go. Okay, that's the first part. He drags the player away, and that creates space to the person who's doing what? We just called it. He is. What did he do? The player who has the ball now, what did he do? What type of run is that?
Third man run?
It's a bit of a third man run, yes, but we just called it in particular. When you're starting high and you come into space, you drop into space, that is Checking in. Checking in, guys.
Oh,
He checked into
More complicated than that.
No, not really. He turns here, okay. Now, what's the next run that's important? The next movement.
Through ball for Iniesta.
Okay. That is the run afterward. There's a run before that that's just as important.
It looks like the left striker gets out wide to draw the defenders toward him.
Ah, there you go. Okay. Don't always look at the ball where the ball is going. Go where the ball is not going. Who is creating space? So that space is created there. And David Villa goes left, pushes the defense up, and boom. There is one more, just a bit. If you see here, do we see the other one? Oh, I'm so sorry again. Do we see it? It's a right winger who just steps out wide a little bit more, which forces Van Bronckhorst to just take a step out left, which gives Iniesta even more time and space, even though he doesn't complete it here, okay? So it's all about everything else that is being done. Once you're at this level, you guys are playing at McLean. It's a very good level. At this point, it's not enough to say, oh, the person who has the ball did this and the person who received the ball did this. That's not the level we want to have anymore. It's everything surrounding that. So that's what we need to look to, okay? Now,
Coach, if they remember your comment on half spaces,
yes.
class example.
Oh, perfect. Halfspaces. Thank you so much for that. Do we remember Halfspaces? Actually, who can remind us where the half space is? Watch the video and tell us who enters the half space. Any ideas?
The left and right strikers enter those
Okay.
half spaces.
And what exactly is the half space?
It's
like
You.
Go ahead.
It's the spaces in between like the wing and then right in the center.
Right. So it's that little sweet spot. It's not all the way to the flank touching the touchline. It's not directly in front of the goal. It's just to the side of the goal on the left or the right, which is a little bit less dense than right in front of the goal because that's where the defenders want to defend. But it's closer than the flank, so it makes it a little bit easier to score than that. And that is where Spain dominated. They were intelligent enough to know they weren't going to stay in the middle the entire time. But they also didn't want to stay on the flanks because they're so technical and able to dominate the game. They took advantage of the half spaces. Okay. Now we're going to look back at the Netherlands, and there's a huge difference in quality between the Netherlands and the Spanish midfield. And I want you to tell me, what this person did isn't necessarily wrong. It was just not ambitious. Okay. And it really set the tone for the game, for what it really showed what the game was about. So I will say when he receives the ball. Now, and this is what we switched the field, not as successfully as we would have hoped. Now, the question is, what is the first offensive mistake in terms of intention? Intention. What is the player's intent? Why could it have been better? In what sense could it have been better? This player right here. Any ideas?
He went straight to pressure.
He went to pressure. Where was the space?
To the right of him.
Exactly. Excellent. And what could he have done if he had gone to the right?
Either passed his teammate or dribbled.
Exactly. So he already has more options going to the middle right than going to the left, where the only option was really to pass it to whom he passed it to, who then had to retreat. Absolutely. And this is in particular for our midfielders, but it could really be anyone, including our center backs, who they might sometimes think, I should stay where I am. No. If the space is there, you got to take that space because it sets up your team. It says, I can trust her. I can give her the ball there. She will turn. It will force the defense to come and attract you there, commit to you there, which will create space somewhere else. So it's all about having the right intention. It is okay if you take a bad first touch here, if you're trying to go the right place. That's all right. It's going to get better. But it's about intention. What we want to see first is the intention, and then the execution will be there. We absolutely trust execution will be there. What we want to see is the intention first. And he there did not have the intention we would have wanted from a player in that position. Okay. Now this is going to be, we're giving you a multiple choice on this one. All right. What type of play We just discussed them at the beginning, the different types. Allow the Dutch to progress. Was it A, expanding the playable area in length and width? B, fixing to commit the opposition one area to play in another? C, play forward collectively or individually between opposition lines? Or secure and control possession, which is basically just keep possession. All right, so starting right here, what are we seeing? We saw it about twice.
That looks like C.
All right, are we playing forward collectively? All right, I want you to say now when you see it, okay?
There.
Okay, is there another one?
And that one.
Yeah.
That is correct. However, what if I told you there was more than one answer to that?
That's true.
Of course.
All right, what
'Cause
else?
they're using A as well.
Ah, okay. All right, why do you say that?
And B.
Because the left winger is like very near the touchline where he gets the ball, right?
Yeah.
And they started from like the right back position.
Yep.
So they're expanding the width of the field and the length because they go from like behind the halfway line to almost next to the penalty box.
Exactly. You're looking complete. And if you see the other center back is dropping as well in anticipation of a potential pass. All right. And the striker is also pushing it up as well. They are making the Spanish team be as big as possible, something the Spanish team does not want because they're on defense. So A and C in particular, and A and C go together because if you want to break a line, you have to extend it. All right. If two players are right next to each other like this, you cannot pass through them. So you have to make sure that they spread out, which means you have to put players on the outside of them so they go there. And that's what we saw there. So it was C, but only because A was there, because the Netherlands made it as big as possible, okay? And lastly, were they breaking lines individually or collectively? Remember, guys, individually is just one player.
Collectively.
Collectively, because there was a pass, okay? And hey, they did it one time, one touch. That's risky. You have to have that ability to do it. But once you do it, it's very important, okay? It's very useful. It's very simple. Very well done. Well done. And Chris, I believe you said B as well, committing the opposition one area to play in another.
Yeah, the
Almost not
first.
quite. I'm sorry?
Okay. The first pass looked like they were kind of drawing the Spanish offense.
In a sense, yes, but the goal there was not quite that. The goal there was just to keep possession there because he could not advance. When you're committing someone in one area, you're either doing it, if you remember, we talked about it quickly in practice, was you're dribbling at someone so they come towards you, or you're completing passes in a small area so they go there.
Okay.
Or you're bringing the ball into a dangerous area. Now, the Spanish team attempted the same type of play the Dutch just did. I just gave the answer to this. Forgot the question was coming up. But what is required to succeed in this? Okay? What is required to, first off, what did they attempt? And why was it not successful? Okay? What type of play is this? It was one of the multiple choice answers on the previous slide.
Collectively breaking lines.
Yes, well done. And what do we need to do to succeed in breaking lines collectively?
Spread out their defensive line by you spreading out.
Right. Spread out the opposition lines, multiple lines, by spreading out, okay? And just before we continue, I'm going to explain the difference between lanes and spaces. Lanes and spaces. Again, how I learned, you guys might have different terms for it, okay? So a lane is, sorry to use the same word, but is the space between players on the same line. So right here, as we see the balls going through, boom, it broke a line. That space between those two orange players is called a lane. Okay, that's a lane. Space is literally the space between two lines. Okay, so let's say we're going to go all the way back to our formation. Okay, space in this case would be between the line of defenders, 3, 4, 5, 2, and the line of sixes, 6 and 8. That space in that little square there between 4, 5, 6, and 8, that is literally called a space. A lane would be between 5 and 2, 5 and 4, 3 and 4, 6 and 8, 10 and 7, 10 and 11. Okay? Are there any questions on that? Does anyone not understand the difference between lane and space? Okay, all right. So next time when we're explaining something, let's see if we can use that terminology, all right? All right, how did the Dutch progress the ball on the left? And what was the final move before the misplaced pass? So we're gonna answer the first question, ignore the other two for now. A long ball by Iker Casillas, the Dutch recover. How did they progress the ball like that? And there, okay? Up until before that big long ball, so here. There. All right, what did they do? This is not about committing the opposition or breaking a line. It's literally what did they do? They passed the ball. To
Short passes.
Short passes, okay, but why were they able to complete the short passes? Well done.
They were quick, one touch, right?
One touch. And why were they quick? Why were the passes able to be quick?
They knew where the other players were, so they could easily give them the ball.
Very good. All right. Now that's in terms of the ball carrier. What did the person who was going to receive the ball do? All right. So I'll explain. I'll start off right here. This person right there who's knocking the ball down. What does he do after that? Boom. Right there. What did he do after that? After passing it here or trying to pass?
Shift over.
Excellent. He shifted over and got in his teammates. What? Do we remember? Direct
Line of sight.
line of sight. Directly. He got into his teammates. Direct line of sight. You guys are doing a great job. All right. And then the other one does the same thing here. And one more time, lays it off there. And we see it again. Our left midfielder, our left winger, gets into the line of sight as well. That's what it was about. Yes, those short passes. Yes, it was one touch or two touch, but only because they saw it. And half the time they didn't even check because they didn't have time to check over their shoulders. It was because their teammates got into their direct line of sight immediately. All right, so that's the first part. Now, what is this called? We did discuss this today. That right there, what is that called? A, B, or C?
A.
B.
He is correct. He is switching the field of play. And that is only because they actually did. Oh, you're going to tell me it's A, B, or C. What allowed or preceded this move here? All of that they're doing now, what do we call that?
B.
Say B. All right.
Yeah, the first part with the passing.
Okay. He did break a line there, yes. They only broke one line there. But the blue team, where did they go? Where did Spain go? Let's
To
deliberate.
the left side, right? And then Netherlands switched it over.
Exactly. So what would we call that then?
A.
Yep, exactly. They are committing because they completed enough passes in a relatively dangerous area by breaking lines, as you said. So the defense has to be drawn there. And then the space is created the other side as Vandervelde, the right back, spreads out wide, even lifts his arm to say he's open. Okay. So well done there. We saw a bit of everything. Okay. They kept possession. They committed the opposition in one area and then while breaking a line, and then they switched flanks. Okay. This one here. This was simply, the answer was switching the field of play. But this here is an example, it's close to an example of what the right back does, number 2. What does he do here? Any ideas? We discussed it today. Might be our first time seeing it. We've always seen it collectively. This time,
He's breaking the lines individually.
Individually off a dribble drive. Quite close to it. If he's eliminating the first line, which is there's a striker and then the number 10 and the wingers, that's the line he broke right there. Okay? So we've seen all of those now. Now, this is about a transition. Spain just recovers the ball here, and you're going to have to tell me what's so dangerous about this run. All right, so they lose the ball, and they recover it. What is so effective and dangerous about that run, even though the ball was hit over the top? It's a bit too far.
It broke the last line before the goalie.
Okay. Would he have been offsides in this case?
I don't think so. No.
Why was it effective? Why was he not offsides?
Diagonal.
It was a diagonal run. Okay, it was a diagonal run. And when does he start to make the run?
Before the pass is played.
Before the pass is played. So he forces his teammate to play the ball. He says, I want the ball. I'm making the run to get the ball. Pass me the ball. Now, he might make that run a dozen times and only get it once, but that's part of being a forward. Forward time. The ball is being played. He starts to make the run, makes it diagonal, and the ball's just a bit too much. But that is the type of thing you want to see from your forward and the midfielder who, before he receives the ball, already knows what he's going to do, takes one touch, and boom. Okay. That's the type of run you might expect a David Villa to make. You might expect a Higuain to make, an Alex Morgan. A lot of different players. That's the type of run they consistently make. Okay? Participant. There we go. All right. Now, what type of transition was this? If you remember, this was one of the first things we discussed. We're looking at the blue team. Okay, so we're focusing on the Spanish team in blue. What type of transition is this? You can jump in anytime.
Defense to offense.
Defense to offense, absolutely. And okay, why is it effective? We just discussed this a few slides ago. Why were they able to complete so many passes in such a short space and short amount of time? To whom do they pass? One more time. All right, so don't worry about getting it wrong, guys. Just try. Say anything.
They passed where they faced.
They pass where they face for the most part. That was the answer. There you go. Pass where they face for the most part, okay? And kept it very short as well. Here is one, he knew where he was, that he passed it there. He turned away from defense, passed it there, passed it where he was facing. And that's why they were able to break a line and progress, okay? All right.
Coach, if I know you mentioned the different terminologies, and just an FYI for you, you use line of sight.
Right.
In the U.S. terminology, it's become available. Make yourself available.
Become available, okay, guys?
Right.
Hear that? Thank you, Coach. I didn't know that one. Become
Right.
available, okay? They made themselves available immediately, all right? That's what it's about. Make yourself useful by making yourself available for your teammates, all right? So that's something else we're keeping in mind to remember, all right?
Okay, and also in the transition, the phases, terminology here tend to be more moments.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect.
Which I think is fairly universal anyway.
No, that's perfect. Okay. So keep that guys in mind as well. I will be using that terminology from here on out to make sure we're all on the same page. All right. Now, what happens when the center back dribbles the ball forward? Okay. So this is the center back, dribbles the ball forward. What happens? All right, what happened there? Boom. Okay. Can you tell me? Can anyone see what happened there?
He individually broke the line by dribbling.
Okay, but if we're ignoring the person who had the ball, that's correct. But if we're ignoring the person who had the ball, what happened?
Someone else took his space.
Someone else took his space. And who do we think that is? If your center back is moving up, who's going to take his space?
The
That's it.
6.
It was the 6, so the player dropping from the middle. Okay, so it's all about compensating. Okay, now PK did a great job of taking the ball forward, almost to the point of breaking a line, and then he did so with a pass. All right, but before that, someone took his space, allowing him to do so. Now, the person who has the ball at the end of the video is the right winger. How does he have this much space to receive it in? How does he receive it there? Why does he receive it there? Why is he not on the right wing on the touchline? There, that's the right winger.
Mm.
That's Pedro in this situation. Why is he not on the touchline where he nominally lined up at the beginning of the game? Who is on the touchline in this position?
The right back.
The right back. Okay. Why is the right back able to take up that space?
Because Pedro moved inside. So
Inside.
he left space there.
He left space, absolutely. And Pedro then has space because the striker is pushing them back, and Pedro jumps down into space there. Okay, that's what it's all about. This video in particular is just to show you are starting off in a position in a game, but it's really so much more about zones and taking up space. So our center back is almost a right back here. Our 6 is dropping back into the center back position. Our right back is playing as a right winger, and our right winger is playing as practically a 10 in this moment here. That's just so we understand that in any given scenario, it's not about, oh, I play this position. It's about what space am I taking up and when, and of course, why. Okay. Now, which non-ball player movement caught your eye? So don't look at who has the ball, look at who doesn't, and tell me why. I want each of you, Christopher and Peter, Bullock and David, to tell me what you see. There are a few, okay? All right, so we're gonna start with David. All right, tell me when to stop. What movement caught your eye?
Stop.
Okay,
Go back a little bit.
all right.
Is that Xavi Alonso?
Which one? 14 in the center circle?
The one in the, yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Okay.
So what movement caught your eye?
Go back. No, that one.
Okay, there. So what did he do? What was the movement? Can you describe it to us?
The pause.
The pause. Yes. Elaborate.
All right. He saw that. All right. Can you pause it right when he does the pause?
You have to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna start from here, okay? What movement?
Right there.
Right there. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, the fake. He saw that no one was open. He had no one open on his visual, so he paused, turned around, and then played it on the other side.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well done. Christopher and Peter, I'm gonna ask you to do the same, but remember, it's the non-ball player. Which non-ball player movement caught your eye? All right, Christopher and Peter. Thank you, David. So tell me when to stop, Chris and Peter.
Okay. Stop.
All right.
I think it's the right mid. He keeps shifting backwards to make sure the guy with the ball can see him and is able to pass to him.
Right mid keeps shifting backwards. Okay.
Looks like number 8, maybe.
Number 8. Okay, I think I see what you're talking about. Right down
Yeah,
there.
yeah, right there.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. And what does that do? So he's shifting. So he's giving his teammate an option. He's making himself available. What does that do? What else does that do?
It creates space in the middle because it's dragging a defender away.
Absolutely. Perfect. 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 All right. And Pulak, you got the last one?
Did David already talk about the guy in the middle next to the referee?
No.
Okay, so he kind of like backs up. Wait, stop.
Right?
Yeah, right there. Wait.
Iniesta. Okay.
Yeah, Iniesta. So he's going towards the referee. So he's like leaving space. He's leaving space in the space between the forward line and the midfield line of the Netherlands. And like even though the center back doesn't use that space, he kind of like the center back his run creates that space, and then he moves back and receives the ball in there.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. You guys are really starting to get it down about creating space, about creating space for someone else who's going to get the ball, creating space for yourself. He got away from the defensive line in front of him and got higher up to give the center or the midfielder time to push forward, but also in case he received the ball, he would have space as well and in a dangerous area. Okay. All right. We just have a few more. What type of run is made by number 7? What 2 main things allow this? Okay. So number 7 for Spain is David Villa. There. What was that? What type of run? We've discussed this a few times now. So what is this? Right there. What is that? So he started high and he
Checked in.
clicked into space. Excellent. And what type of pass was it? What did PK do with his pass? Is it PK there? It might be Ramos. Yes. What did Ramos do? What type of pass is that? What is that?
It's a line breaking pass.
The line breaking pass. Okay. Now what allows these 2 things? What allows the space to be checked into and what allows the line to be broken? 2 main things.
The Netherlands left midfielder was drawn by Spain's right midfielder slightly, so the gap opened up for the pass to be played.
Very good. All right. So one of those things is width, okay, created by Pedro, I believe, going to the touchline, and Dirk Kuyt was just slightly attracted by that, which created just enough width for the pass to be broken, okay? And why was David Villa able to check into space? It's something David Villa did that allowed him to check into space, okay? What do we always talk about? Width and
Depth.
and length, okay? All right, so he started higher up the field so he can run into that space. If he was already into that space, he can't run into it. So he started higher up the field to create space, and then boom, he was in front of his defender, so he ran into that space and he had time to receive the ball, right? Depth and width, time and space, all right? By getting space, you get time, and time, you can use that. All right, tell me who's providing the width. Tell me if we see pockets of space. If we remember pinning someone, let me know if there's a word for that. And lane versus space, we already discussed that. We'll see if we can come back to it, all right? So who is providing the width and where for Spain? I'm just gonna keep on playing the video. You can chime in with the answers during the video, okay? Who is providing width for Spain? That's one player there. That's another there. What positions do we believe they're playing? There's another one there.
The left back and the right back.
All right. The right back here and then the right winger here. The left back far side are creating space. Okay. Boom. And with this, we see a relative that's still switching the field of play. It's just not done in one touch, done with a few passes. Okay. The pockets of space is, I will let you know. Iniesta is going to go into a pocket of space, doesn't receive it. Here's another pocket of space, and there's another pocket of space when Iniesta receives it. Okay. Now, what is lane versus space? Okay. Can we explain? I said it. Let's see if I explained it actually correctly, if you guys are able to follow. All right. Someone explain lane versus space to me, please. Take initiative.
A lane is the space in between two people, or like two defenders, and then the space is the space between the two lines of the defense.
That's the main term. All right. So the space is the distance between two lines. The lane is the distance between two players of the same line. Okay. So boom. There. What is there? What did he, the person who received the ball there, what is he in? Is he in the lane or in the space? There. Was he in the lane or
he's in space?
he's in space? Well done. Here. Is he in the lane or is he in space?
Lane. Actually, kind of both. Yeah.
He received the ball in space. The ball went through a lane.
Lane. Yeah.
So you received the ball in space and the ball went through a lane. And you guys can all see why this pass is so dangerous, correct? We're going to say correct. Okay. And then pinning, as you can see, David Villa, the striker, he's pinning two center backs at once. And then center back moves up. And just by standing there, Villa has one center back occupied and another semi-occupied. And the right winger is keeping the left back occupied as well. Okay. That's what we mean by pinning. We have about 5 slides left, 5, 6 slides left. Okay, boys. Now we see various movements. Can you name a few? All right. It could be, let me just give you options. Checking in, getting wide, running forward into space, breaking a line with the ball individually or collectively, right? Overlapping, underlapping, any type of run you see, name it at any time. Don't hesitate. Making yourself available by shifting, making a decoy run, liberating, okay? Liberating space, go ahead, name them out. Are we seeing anything, boys? Dropping into space because you're sent back and forward. What are we seeing?
Towards the end, one of the forward checks in towards the ball, away from the defenders.
Well done.
Right there. Yeah, right there. But he doesn't get the ball.
But what does that run do?
Drags the defender.
There you go. His teammate gets the ball. Okay. Remember that you're going to make a gazillion. You see, there are so many runs made in this little 15-second clip. Only about 3-4 people touch the ball, but all 10 players, including the goalie, if we could see him, are actually moving. Okay. One more. I need one more. Anything else, guys? David, Peter, Pulak. I'm going to help you guys out here. Okay, so get wide here.
Wait,
Yeah.
sorry. Right there, the midfielders all kind of push up. Wait, keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, all three midfielders at the bottom of the screen kind of just push up into and leave space behind them, and then they kind of congest that area.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. So that would be that Xavi Alonso, and I believe Iniesta moving. And then as we'll see later, they converge for a little bit, and then they adapt to each other's runs. Well done. All right. There's a great deal of movement here. Which ones are important and why? It's basically the same question we just did. We're just going to watch it a little bit more. One checking into space there. Getting wide. Look at this. Dropping into space, getting into that line. Another one completely compensating. Okay. Watch the two players in the center circle. That's what I want you to keep your eyes on. Xavi and Xabi Alonso. Look at where one starts and where the other starts and where they end up. Did we see that? One last time. They make the run at the same time. Okay. Xavi starts on the right, goes to the bottom left. Xabi Alonso starts bottom left, goes to the top right. You have the Iniesta who's roaming around in space, and the left back who's staying wide, allowing space there. And what we don't see is that there it is, the left winger coming into that space there, and Iniesta in that number 10 position. Look at this. All right, it's all about synchronizing. One last time, they're all synchronizing. They're not yet as adventurous. 12th minute, they're getting there, but look at the run there. There's a synchronization. They're creating space in the middle. And boom. They both check in at the same time. Coming in here, and he turns there, and that is what is so, so effective. All right. And left back now has space because the left wing went in. Yes. What does Xavi's movement force create? So Puyol. And Xavi is over here on the right. You can't see his. All right, so I'll tell you who Xavi is because he doesn't touch the ball. He is the player on the right of the person who has the ball. So up there, top right. He's now going behind the ball carrier. That is Xavi. What does his position do? What does his movement create?
There's space in between the lines for Iniesta to exploit.
Okay, because Xavi liberated that space. That's one, okay. But right here at the very beginning, that's very true, Pulak. Well done. At the very beginning, he's coming in here. Who moves because he goes into that space?
The right back.
The right back, okay.
Sergio Ramos.
Yes, where is he going? Where's the right back going?
He's going higher up the field, and then that pushes the right winger inside.
There you go. All right. They have width, not provided by the right winger this time, by the right back. So what you want in a game is what would be ideal would be to have as much, when you have the ball, to have as much width as possible while having players in the middle because that's where the goal is. So what did they do? If you watch Manchester City and Guardiola, I know you guys love the Premier League, so I'm taking that example. They'll have players very high and wide, and then they'll have players in the middle as well. Okay, his City team's a little bit different, but other teams they'll have Liverpool. There you go. Alexander-Arnold, high, wide right. Robertson, high, wide left. And that allows Mane and Salah to be in the middle with Firmino's dropping into a 10. And don't forget they have the 2 8s going up as well. So they have density in the middle while still creating width out wide. Whereas Guardiola does the same thing, but it's a little more complex, so we won't get into that right away. Okay, so that's what they're doing here. Xavi does that, allowing space and allowing Piqué to move forward as well. Okay, last 4 here, well, really last 2. So what type of play is this, and why is Iniesta immediately able to find a pass? We're seeing patterns here. We've discussed a few things a few times here, guys. Boom, what is that? And why did he immediately find a pass? He is fouled. Heitinga gets his 2nd yellow card, red card. He is off the field of play. He is sent off. So what is this right here that's happening here? Boom, and that. What is that? Also check here as Cesc Fabregas checks into space and checks over his shoulder multiple times all right, both ways before receiving the ball. Something we've been discussing a great deal of. So what is this pass here? And why does Iniesta find a pass immediately to Xavi? Let's see. What is it, guys? Two-part question.
It's a line breaking pass, collective, and
He was
um
able to find him because he opened his body as soon as he got the ball.
He opened his body. Well done. That's part of the second question. Yes. He checks over his shoulder 2 times, opens his body. What else? Even if he did open his body, but no one was there, would he be able to complete the pass? No. So what happens to help Iniesta complete that pass? Who is there? Who receives the pass from Iniesta, boys?
we missed Xavi or something.
Exactly. Okay. And what does he do? What does he do? He receives the ball, but what does he do before he receives it? He makes
He-
himself available.
Yeah, he runs into the space next to Iniesta, so Iniesta can play a quick one-touch pass.
Absolutely. Last question for this slide before we go to the very last slide is, when does Xavi start his run? When does he start his run? Keep an eye on him.
When Cesc gets the ball.
When Cesc gets the ball, okay? Not when Cesc makes the pass. Okay, look at this. He's already beginning his run and then accelerates. So he starts jogging and then accelerates a little bit. So change of speed, change of rhythm, change of pace. Okay, right as Cesc is making the pass. So Cesc receives the ball. David looks. He says, I know where he's going. Let me start getting there to help Iniesta. Okay, because sometimes we see something, but we see it too late. And so you say, oh, I was open. You were open, but about half a second too late. So which means you weren't necessarily open in that scenario, okay? So make the run before the pass is played, all right? Before player A plays to player B, player C should already be in movement, all right? And last one, very global. I just need one thing, with the ball, without the ball, doesn't matter. You just tell me what you see. Each player, all 4 of you, all right? So they recover the ball here. What do you see? Let's go. Start with Pulak.
So before the ball is played to the whoever's making the run around the defender, the striker who's already there kind of draws the center back. So the center back doesn't notice the run being made behind him.
Well done. All right. Peter? Don't worry, there's just enough for all of you guys.
The player that doesn't receive the ball but is also making a run, the other striker, is starting in
The lanes.
in the lane. Yeah.
Well done. Yes, yes, yes. And what type of run does that striker make?
Diagonal.
Yes, with a little bit of
Curve.
a little bit of a curve. Yes, a curved run there, which you usually use to stay on side, which was try to do. But excellent on that one. All right, Chris, I'm gonna. Do you have one, or are we gonna count your contribution to Peter as part of your?
I have one.
All right, there you go.
The guy on the right is going to the width to try to draw the center backs away from the middle.
There you go. Well done. Okay. And David, you have the last one. Well, you got the person receiving.
As soon as Iniesta gets the ball, Torres starts running up immediately, and then the guy on the right, I think it's Ramos, he runs in sync with Torres at the same time.
Well done. Well done. I would say the names are just a bit off, but well done. That's Cesc Fabregas who's shooting, David Villa who's running with him, but absolutely.
Oh, okay.
It was perfect. It was excellent what you said, and the pass was just absolutely sublime. Perfect. All right. So just a quick review to finish off. Okay. So do we remember pinning? Or would you guys prefer me to actually, since this will be recorded, we might give a broad definition very quickly. So pinning, or at least the way I see it, of course, different terminology for it, is when a player his team is in possession, a player takes up a space so that the defenders around him are occupied by his positioning. Okay, so it can be a striker, all right, coming into position here between two center backs. The center backs cannot leave him because if they do, he will be off. He will be available. He will be open. Okay, or it will be a number 10 getting in between two sixes. The sixes can't go and defend somewhere else because they would leave the number 10 open. All right, that is what we mean by pinning. Being in a position to literally pin your defender where she or he is. All right, half spaces we discussed. Chris, you want to give that definition one more time? Christopher.
Yeah, definition for what? Sorry.
Half spaces.
Oh, the space in between the center and the wing where you don't have all the defenders and you still have a good angle on goal.
Basically it. Excellent. Really just the base of the definition, we got it down. We didn't discuss overlapping and underlapping as much, so we might leave that one to the side for now. Okay. And the last 5 on the right. David, can you explain switching?
Switching in what sense?
Switching the field of play. Switching flanks. So let's say the ball is on the left side. Where would you switch it to?
Switch to the other side, to the right side.
There you go. Okay, so when the ball is basically, when you swing it.
Oh,
you
that. Okay, my bad.
Swinging the ball from one place to the other. No worries. Okay, there are different ways of doing that. We didn't discuss it too much today, but there are different ways of doing that. All right, Pulak, you enjoyed this one a great deal. Breaking lines.
Yeah, so when you see a gap in between two players, when a lane opens up in between two players on the opposition line, and you can play a pass or you can dribble through that lane, and then the space is created by the opposition players being kind of dragged apart by the width of your team.
Absolutely. Breaking lines, all right? A line is a midfield line, a defensive line, a forward line, and breaking that is simply getting the ball across that line, whether through a dribble or collectively, as you were saying. Excellent. All right, fixing the opposition or committing the opposition. I've been using this terminology for a while now, and I'm pretty sure it's not the best terminology, but I haven't found it yet. I've translated it directly, so if you guys find something better, please let me know. But it is simply, and you can do this individually or collectively as well, it is simply bringing the defense into one area. That's it. Now, there's usually something following it, but bringing the defense into one area, that could be, let's complete 5 spaces in the middle right quadrant. The defense will come into that area and they will leave space somewhere else, which will lead to what David was talking about, switching the field of play. Okay, so that is what we're doing. You can also fix opposition by dribbling somewhere. Okay, you can dribble at them. And lastly, on fixing, it's much easier to fix someone when, depending on their strategy, it's much easier to fix the opposition higher up the pitch than lower up the pitch. Because a lot of teams will say, you can keep possession in your own box. We do not care. They're not going to go and press that. But if you get into the middle third, the offensive third, especially the middle third, they are going to come out now, and then you can create. And finally, fixing the opposition. You can also switch after that, or you can fix them. They can get prepared for you to switch, and you cut back to where you're playing. Imagine that. That's another level, but you have possession, 5 passes in the right-sided area. You're moving the ball to the middle to go to the left. They start shifting, and you cut it back to the right. But again, that's trained in somewhere else. Transition, moments of the game, negative and positive transition, just going from offense to defense, which some call negative transition, going from defense to offense, which some call positive transition. It's just about transitioning. That's what the game is all about. You see soccer nowadays, it's all about transition, and usually high energy, high intensity. And lastly, expanding the field of play, which the girls earlier had described absolutely excellently. Simply about depth and width, making the field as big as possible. In width, that will be with our wingers, our fullbacks, but also now our center backs getting wider. So our fullbacks will push higher up the field, so our wingers can come inside. Our striker being higher up the field so that our 10s, our 8s, our wingers can come in and have space to do their damage there. Okay, so that is what we were looking at today. And we're going to stop right there. Okay, we're gonna come and stop the share. There you go.
Coach,
Yes.
two things. Just again, in terms of terminology, just for your benefit, switching is synonymous with changing the point of attack.
Yes.
Which, yeah. So just same thing. Just a little different terminology. Yeah. And you recorded this, right?
Yes, indeed. I started a little bit late, but I did record it. Yes.
Okay. I'll talk to you offline on that.
No problem. Sounds good. Sounds good. And last time, that changing the point of attack, guys, that's actually a better terminology, because if you just hear what it says, you just understand what it says. Changing the point of attack is literally, we're attacking in one area. Let's change it because it's too dense here and there's a more favorable area somewhere else. So changing the point of attack, attacking from a different point. That's all it is. Absolutely excellent. So yes, thank you, coach, for that one. All right. Next week, we are back. We're going to look at 4-2-3-1, but we might look at more specifically U.S. women's national team. We'll see what we do depending on who will be available. But thank you guys once again. Don't forget to remind your teammates. This will go up on the internet, so let them know as well. For those that weren't able to make it, they had other video sessions and all. Thank you for your participation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if there's anything you guys want to discuss or something you're not understanding or something from today's session you didn't understand you want me to elaborate. You guys have a chance now.
Do you send this out? Will you put this on YouTube or you send a link?
I didn't know there was a link. I'm honest. I was gonna upload it to YouTube.
All right. Okay.
All right, boys. Thank you again, and we'll talk soon. If not, we'll see you next week. Okay.
See you, coach.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
So, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.